I'm Jen, and this is Sean.
Hello!
And welcome to my vlog space. So I decided that it would be really fun to do a vlog about performing. I know I mentioned in a couple of vlogs that I'm a professional performer, and we've had some crazy things happen just in the last 9 days, actually. We had a show in Richmond, Virginia, and then we just had a show in Orlando, Florida, and so many things went interestingly. I wanted to say wrong, but honestly, like, nothing really goes wrong when you're, like, able to roll with the punches. But things went interestingly enough that I was like, you know what if we do a vlog talking about all of the interesting things we've had to deal with as performers over the years. And this is mostly strictly as tap dancers, but we also perform as improv actors, so sometimes some of these will have to do with that as well. So
yeah, it's crazy the things that we've come across, and a lot of it's like spur of the moment. You get into the room and you're just like, there we go.
You have 5 minutes to figure it out too, because your show starts in 5 minutes, and so it's one of those things where you're just like, should I stress or should I stress? So I just thought it'd be super fun to give you a glimpse into the world of being a professional tap dancer and a professional performer and rolling with those punches. So, you ready?
I'm ready.
He has a list in his phone of all of the things and that we've had to deal with over the years, and we actually put check marks next to the ones we had to deal with just this past week.
And this is just a small amount of the things that we've had to handle, but they're all like encompassing of these main topics.
Yeah, and we can give some funny stories along the way, so hope you're ready for a bumpy ride because this is very interesting. So, to give context, the company that we both perform in is called Noise Complaint, and I also have a secondary company, Rhythm Theory, that has had to deal with its own share of issues. So I'll probably splice in a couple of those while we do this, but that's how we mostly perform. We travel with both of those companies. Noise Complaint performs at geek culture and pop culture conventions, like anime conventions and comic book conventions, Comic-Cons. And Rhythm Theory performs at like festivals, what are those things called? Fairs. Like I was like county fairs, arts markets, choreographer summits, more of the traditional type of performances. And Noise Complaints where the weird stuff happens, because there I am dressed as Captain America and he's Tony Stark, and in between arguing with each other, we tap dance. So that's the nature of the show, right?
It's so much fun. And now I'm not in Rhythm Theory, so I'm just in Noise Complaint, but I do get to go and hang out with them on Rhythm Theory, so I've gotten to see a lot of the stage parts of that, and I've actually performed, I think, twice with Rhythm Theory.
You have. We performed a couple of dances that he knew, and I was like, hey, get up here. And he's like, me? And I'm like, yes, you know this dance. He's like, okay. So yeah, it was super fun, but challenging, definitely challenging. So let's go through this list of interesting things we've had to deal with, and then I'll tell you how we handled them.
Okay.
First one, and this happens more often than you would think would happen at a convention, the stage is coming apart. Like, literally, the stage is coming apart as you're dancing. We had a show in Tallahassee one year where the stage was made up of, like, they were kind of like tables. I guess they were stage pieces, but they were more like tables, and they were pushed together. So as we're tap dancing, because they weren't connected, they weren't secured together, they started, like, separating as we moved, because I guess they weren't having tap dancers other than us. They weren't having dancers on that stage other than us. And they didn't think, oh, it's fine. We'll just tape it together. It's fine. They didn't secure them together. So there they are just separating. And then there's there's a gap like this big. And we're all like, oh, mind the gap. Everyone, mind, another one. Mind that gap too. So what you have to do in that situation is kind of just re-choreograph the staging on the fly and hope that everyone pays attention to those spots. In between songs, you kind of look at each other and go, hey, that spot, no go. Everything shifts over a foot. You know, it's just so that no one's standing in it. If it's right in someone's window, which it's usually in mine, when there's a problem, it's usually front and center of the stage. Like if there's like a sometimes the stages that are secured together, they have like a lip thing happening where one part goes above the other. So you have like a trip hazard. That's usually in my spot. Or the separation is usually in my spot. So I hope it's in my spot because I know how to deal with it. And I trust myself to deal with it. And I'd rather everyone else just focus on dancing, you know?
No, I agree. But what a lot of times what they don't understand is that they see tap dancing and they're like, oh, well, it's just in this area that your feet are moving, so you're fine. They don't really take into consideration how much force we put into whenever we do chugs or like, different steps. Time steps.
Every time you stomp, the stage moves forward a little if it's not secured, like it's crazy. But yes, we have had stages that were literally coming apart. Or legitimately coming apart. I'm not sure which word is best in that situation, but there's the scholar. All right, so the next one. Not having a stage at all.
What?
So we're told, part of our rider, part of our list of requirements for a show, one of them is that we need a stage of a certain size, but we'll get to that part later. One of them is that we need a stage. And sometimes we get there being told that there will be a stage, and then it turns out it's a dance floor. Or it's a carpeted area. We travel with our own rollout wood floors because a lot of stages are carpeted, so we have to travel with those anyway. But there's a big difference between putting us on a stage and having us on the floor, because when you're on the floor, unless you're in the front row or close to the front, you can't really see our feet above the people that are sitting in the front row,
We're just a knee-up show at that point.
Yeah, and a knee-up tap dance show, when you can't see the feet, it's not as interesting. So that presents problems on its own. And then if it's a dance floor, the kind you'll see at a ballroom or in a prom or something, do you know how slick those are? We just danced someone yesterday, and I slipped while dancing. I was in the middle of a barrel turn and I slipped, and I kid you not, I yelped. And my friend heard it. She goes, "Are you okay? You yelped." And I was like, I was scared. Because when you're slipping in a turn, you don't know which way's up, down, left, or right. Because you're in the middle of a turn, so the room's you're already disoriented.
Oh, yeah.
So you're just I might have yelped. My bad. Very profesh.
It was very slick. But then also on top of that, we were standing on concrete.
We were. The stage was just a little tiny dance floor on concrete. So especially for dancers our ages, that presents some serious injury hazards. And if you're, maybe this is coming out before, or maybe it's coming out after the video that I filmed today that mentions I am injured from the show. Nothing serious. It will heal. It's just kind of I need to take a break for a week or so just to let that one heal. A little bit of jumper's knee. But that happens when you tap dance directly on concrete. But the people that organize these events, they don't always realize that. And that is why it's in our rider that we need a stage. But then they're they'll be fine on the floor. Look, it's a big open area. Look, it's a dance floor. They'll love that. No, we won't. It says a stage in our rider for a reason.
They see dance floor and they're like, dancers. Ta-da. No.
So yeah, not having a stage at all. That happens sometimes. Oh gosh, this one. So yesterday, and this isn't just yesterday, this has happened more than 10 times. I was more times than I have fingers. So more than 10 times. They took the aux cable from the sound system that we were told we were able to use. So Friday we had a show, everything was fine-ish. And, there was still no stage, but, everything was fine. There was a 2-to-1 aux cable. It was great. The next day, we get there. We have 5 minutes before the show. We got there way earlier than that, but, because there's things before that, we can't really get into the room until about 5 minutes before the show. So it's always a very quick setup time. And so we go up to the DJ booth, and he's like, "Hey, so there's a problem." And I'm like, "Oh, goody. What?" And he goes, "There's no aux cable." And I was like, "There was an aux cable yesterday." He goes, "Yeah, I know, but it's gone today." And I'm like, "What?" And so we almost couldn't have any music for our show because we don't have a 2-to-1 aux cable because there was one yesterday, first of all, so we didn't think to bring it the second day. And second of all, it's in our rider that the sound system must have A, B, C, and D. One of those things is an aux cable because, a regular aux cable that you get for like, I don't know, your car or your headphones, that's like, what is it?
The headphone jack.
Yeah,
headphone jack
the little ones.
This
is like 2 big ones to 1 little one is what we needed. Not everybody just has that on hand. So the fact that it was just suddenly gone, luckily the DJ loaned us his, but that meant that instead of using the surround sound speakers, we could only hook into 1 speaker because it wouldn't go into the actual sound system.
1 out of how
many? So many problems.
Out of how
1
many?
out of 4. 1 out of 4. I almost said 1 out of 4. No, 1 out of 4 speakers. So volume was touchy, and it was the show went well. We did our best. These things happen. Or how about that time the guy before us, who was the person who was, I guess, in charge of the sound, the audio for all of the shows, he decided to go on his lunch break during our show because he knows we're very self-sufficient and we can run our show. What he didn't think about is that he took his entire sound system with him when he went on his lunch break to protect it, of course, because somebody's going to take it from the room that all the shows are happening in, like while a show is happening.
He took his entire soundboard.
The whole soundboard. We had no sound system whatsoever. All we had was a microphone. Do you want to explain how we handled that show?
So, yeah, the whole show, now I'm in it, mind you.
He was a dancer in the show.
So I had Jen's phone, which had the audio, and I had a microphone that ran to the, 2 speakers. I danced like this. The entire show was me performing like this, trying to make sure that A, it didn't move so you didn't hear, or that I didn't go too far away and then there's no music. An hour-long show. Hour-long show like this.
Well, you sat out of a couple of dances so that, we could have guaranteed good sound. Don't make your chair squeak. I heard that. I was like, I might as well address that too. Speaking of sound issues.
Yeah, I hit the little thing at the bottom. Sorry.
So yeah, that's how we had to do the sound because what else were we going to do? Before we came up with that solution, I actually ran around the entire convention trying to find somebody with a boombox. And I found a guy dressed as Michael Myers who had a stereo built into his costume. And I kid you not, I asked him, hey, would you mind standing still for like an hour for our show? Is it Bluetooth? Can I Bluetooth into you? Like, is that a thing? He didn't like that.
He stayed in character.
He wasn't mean about it or anything. He just stayed in character and he's like, and then he just leaves and I'm like, I am now scared. But hey, we made it work.
And then there was also the time that we get there and they were like, oh, we didn't know you guys needed a sound system. But luckily the wrestling people had their sound system.
Yeah, except that the wrestling people left on Sunday.
Yep,
so we
Saturday
didn't have a sound
system
system on Sunday.
And you know what we did?
A panel instead of a show. We did like a Q&A, ask us to teach you how to tap, ask us questions, because there was no way to do a show that day. So we kind of just made it work. But yeah, that's happened. People have taken the sound system.
It's not something you would think would happen, but...
And we can't always travel with our own. That's the other thing. I did bring a little Bluetooth speaker yesterday, but that's not going to cover 6 dancers. We can't always travel with our own. Yesterday, we had 6 dancers, 4 floors, tons of props, all in one van. The sound system's not going to fit in there. It's just not. And we have always done this convention. We've never had this problem with this convention. These things just happen, and here we are.
Also, you'll come across some conventions that won't let you mix tech. Like, we won't be allowed to use our sound system or our lights or anything.
Yeah, that's fun too. All right, so the next one is, there are holes in the stage, which we did talk about sort of with the stage separating, but sometimes there's like actual for real holes in the stage. Like, you get there, and then the pieces of the stage don't come together quite right, and then there's a hole like this big in the center of the stage that you're just like, all right, everybody, here's a problem area. Stop it.
I'm going to sit still.
Here's a problem area. And then over here, here's another problem area. Don't go here. And so we've learned to bring like bright orange spike tape with us to like kind of section off all the dangerous areas.
We've had holes that are big enough that our foot would slide into it.
Yeah. It's full contact sport, tap dancing.
Or like the stage will be multi-level.
Yeah.
So there'll be like one that's like an inch and a half.
Yeah, that's what I said.
Next
like, there's like, it goes like this.
Oh, yeah.
And it can get pretty precarious up there, but you know what? It's an adventure.
My favorite, though, is when we were getting ready and it's like a wood stage. We're like, all right, nice wood stage. We're ready. And we're talking to one of the maintenance guys, and he's talking to us, and he goes, oh, watch out for all the nails sticking up over there.
Right?
And we walk over, and there's like
literal
probably 15 or 20 nails
out.
just sticking straight up.
Thank God we had tap shoes on, right? Nobody was dancing barefoot. I was like, hey, guys. Mm-hmm. So usually before the show, I assess the stage, and then we have a little safety briefing where I go, okay, there, and there, watch out. You don't do your back roll over there. Go over there. So,
oh, yeah. She's had to, like, save me because I wouldn't think about it. I'm like, oh, that'll be fine.
There's some slapstick comedy that we do. He, like, rolls on the ground to try to get away, or you were Magic Harp once, and he just kind of laid on the stage, and don't lay on nails. Yeah. So the next one is, you remember how we said sometimes we don't have a stage? Mm-hmm. How about we had a stage and then we get to our show? Like we go look at the room at the beginning of the day and we go, okay, that's what the stage looks like. It's a little small, but we can make that work. It's fine. And we go about our day. We go do our panels. We go get ready for the show. We go get dressed. We come back. It's time to do the show. The stage is gone. Mm-hmm. It's just gone. And I'm like, there was a stage in this room. I go try to find somebody that's like in charge, and they're like, oh yeah, the improv group said that they needed it, so they took it. And I'm like, does somebody straight up steal our stage? Mm-hmm. Like, first of all, who does that? Second of all, who does that? And third of all, what? Like,
who allows it? Like, you already have a stage. Why are you stealing the second stage?
But who looks on the schedule and sees, oh, tap dancers, they don't need a stage. Mm-hmm. What? What if we didn't have our floors because the stage was hard surface? Mm-hmm. Like, we made it through that show. We put our floors on the floor, and same problem as, if there was no stage earlier, like, if you're not in the front row, you're going to have a hard time seeing our feet. But we made it work.
And we made a joke about it.
But they stole our stage. Yeah, we did make a joke about it.
And the audience loved it because they understood, It wasn't something that we planned.
And I'll go through this at the end. The audience is always just happy that they got to see a show. It doesn't matter what goes wrong. Mm-hmm. You give them a good show. So, and we'll get to that at the end. All right, next one is when the convention or the venue that has booked you knows that you have 11 dancers, but they give you a stage that only fits 4. Mm-hmm. I cannot count the number of times that has happened. Mm-hmm. That's actually what prompted us to even do this video, because I looked at a funny picture online that was a band looking at a stage that was like the size of a dining table, mm-hmm. and they were like, oh, so this is the stage. And I was like, I wish I didn't feel that so hard. Like, mm-hmm. I wish that I didn't relate to that meme this much, mm-hmm. but I do. And like, we've had a stage that literally only fit maximum 4 people. And they knew we brought 11. Like, when they said, how many passes do you need? Or how many people are you bringing? We said, oh, we have 11, or we have 12, or we have even 9 or 10. And they don't think about the fact that the stage is way too small. In our rider, it says we need a stage that is at least 10 by 15. Mm-hmm. At least. Where does that go? Mm-hmm. It's like they take our rider and they're like, recycle bin. But yeah, no, it's not always on purpose. Like, we're not angry about any of this stuff. It's just really, really funny things that have happened. And I've never, ever expressed anger about any of these things toward the convention or even the group that stole our stage. It's more of a, hey, funny that happened. But next time, can we, is there any way that we can make sure that this doesn't happen again? Is there something that we can do? And I'm always very nice about it. But now is the time that we get to go, are you serious?
Do you remember that time?
Did this happen? Yeah. So,
and that's the big thing, is just professionalism on that.
Yeah. There was one where we literally had 12 dancers with us and the stage only fit 4. So what we had to do is we put 2 of our floors on that stage, and then we put the other 2 on the floor, mm-hmm. and we had to redo all the staging 30 minutes before the show, because the whole show had staging that had everyone on the same stage. Now I had to completely redo the staging to have 4 people, or between 4 and 6 people on the stage, and then between 4 and 6 people on the floor, depending on how many people were in a dance. Mm-hmm. So
you and I have gotten pretty good at dancing like this close.
This close. If we when we had the raised floors mm-hmm. that aren't that don't go together, we've had to share one of those mm-hmm. a few times.
We've just learned to sit at an angle, and
yeah, we're fine.
We're good.
Okay, so next one. Mm-hmm. when you perform in a 50-degree room. You guys probably have experienced this at dance competitions or in theaters or at events. Sometimes they keep those events really, really cold because they anticipate a lot of people being at them, especially Comic-Cons. They do that a lot. Thing about that is sometimes they go a little overboard and they make it way too cold. And I'm not complaining about like if it's just a little chilly in the room. I'm talking like it's actually 50 degrees and you can see your breath. There was one convention that we did where we were standing in the room we were about to perform in, and every time we exhaled, you could see our breath. It was really cold. And that is not only bad because, like, obviously it affects your lungs when you're dancing, but it affects your muscles too. I actually wore leg warmers over my costume and a jacket over my costume for that show. And I told all of my dancers to do the same thing. It didn't matter if it hid their costume. It didn't matter because safety first. So that show was a little weird because the audience was like, why are they wearing parkas? Oh, I mean, it's freezing, but why are they wearing coats? Aren't they supposed to be in character? And we were, but what were we going to do?
My character is cold. I am in character.
Yeah, Spider-Man was wearing a coat. Like, there was nothing else we could do about it.
Like, I'm naturally warm all the time. I was freezing in that room.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh my gosh, that's horrible.
Yeah, I just remember, like, there's actually, in the video, you can see us. You can see our breath. It's so bad. But, like, yeah, I guess that's not really anybody's fault. It just kind of happens. But that was a fun one, definitely. All right. This one's more for, like, if you're a touring musician or a touring dancer or you book a show out of town or, like, a competition or something. This is one of those things. When they know you have 12 people and yet they only give you one hotel room and it's not a suite. They only give you one hotel room, and they know you have 12 people. This happened to us at a couple of conventions where I had to go to the person directing it, and I'm like, hey, so I went to the front desk to check in, and we only have one room. They're like, yeah, that's all we gave you. And I'm like, when you asked me how many passes I needed, I said I needed 12. So I have 12 people, and 12 people are not fire code-wise allowed to be in that room, let alone going to fit. And they're like, oh, yeah, that's a good point. And I'm like, I mean, so that's happened to us a lot more than I wish it has, because it's tough when you get there and your dancers just want to get into their room and put their costumes on and relax for a minute before we actually get into the thick of things, and they can't because we're stuck sitting in the lobby while I work out all these issues. But that happens. It's one of those things that happens. Oh, that's a funny one. Being scheduled next to something, like next door to something. This is mostly for cons. This is mostly for conventions. Being scheduled next door to something that is a quiet activity. We have been scheduled for our performance right next to the library, the manga library, where people go to literally read.
Yeah, just sit in quiet and read.
Sit in quiet. Actually, a lot of people go into the manga library to escape sensory overload as well. That's like putting us next to the sensory lounge. But our name is noise complaint. Like, there's a very, very clear picture of how much volume we're going to have. Why would you schedule us next to the manga library or the anime viewing room where people are trying to watch a show? And now all they hear is hammers next door. Have you ever been just trying to relax or chill or read and all of a sudden somebody's jackhammering outside? That's kind of the same thing. It's rhythmic and beautiful and it's great music, but like if you're going to the library, I'm pretty sure you wanted quiet.
Yeah, we've had we've been next to like other like dance groups that are doing like certain like dances from different events or different shows, or like other singers and stuff. And then they're like, I can't hear my music because I'm hearing your beat.
Yeah.
It's like,
so I don't know. I feel like they should think about that before they like block off rooms and schedule who's going to be where and stuff. I understand like you can't help scheduling us next to a panel. That's normal. But you could probably avoid the library.
We've gotten noise complaints at a convention.
Yes, noise complaint has gotten noise complaints.
They're like, you guys need to turn it down or we're going to tell.
We can't. We literally can't turn. It's our feet. We can't turn those down. Like.
Yeah, we can only do so much, bud. Sorry.
All right, and the last one we have on here is there's a table on the stage, and we are told we are not allowed to move it. So what happens when you go to a convention is that a lot of times there's a table on the stage for like the actors or the voice actors or the guests to have their Q&A panels at. They sit at the table, the moderator sits at the table, there's microphones on the table. They also know that there is going to be a tap dance group that needs the whole stage or a costume contest that needs the whole stage later that day. And they don't think about that, though, when they hook up all of the microphone wires to the table. Like, they tape them to the table. So in order for us to move the table completely off the stage, which we need to do in order to do our show properly, we would have to undo all of the microphone wire securing that they did, which we are not allowed to do. So at some conventions, they're like, oh yeah, the way we did the wires, you can't move the table. And we're like, we can't do the show with the table in the middle of the stage. So they're like, oh, just move it over as much as you can without ruining the wiring. So we've had a stage, like, here's the stage, and we're supposed to use the whole thing, but there's a table, like, here. Can you do the table?
Table.
Like, there. No, just put your hand right here.
Oh, the table.
Not paying attention. So, like, our stage got cut in half. Mm-hmm. We could only dance here because the table could only be moved to there. Mm-hmm. Got tangled. But we had to do our show that way. So, again, we had to restage everything, and I had to go, okay, we're going to have to do 3 lines instead of 2. Our floors, they're supposed to go horizontally, but now we have to put them vertically. Mm-hmm. This is the best we got. I'm sorry, guys. And then, everyone just kind of has to go with it on the fly. And we make it work. But it's just another one of those situations where you're like, did that really have to happen, though? Mm-hmm. So
it's interesting, some of the situations that we've had to dance in. And luckily, you've always been really good about making sure that if it's safe, we'll dance.
Yeah, we've only ever had to cancel a show once or twice because it wasn't safe. One of them, the stage got rained on. There was no cover, and it was outdoors, and the stage got rained on, and it was made of wood. And the wood got squishy. And I said, that's not safe. We're going to destroy the stage, or we're going to, slip. And this is just not good. We cannot dance. I'm sorry, we can't do the show. Do you have another venue for us, another room that we could do our show in? They didn't, so we just had to cancel the show. I forget the other time we had to cancel. But
I don't remember. There's
been times, where the situation was just that bad that we're like, I'm sorry, there's no way we can do our show. And we have dealt with really, really interesting things. So if we have to cancel our show, it's the most dire situation. Because all of those shows we just talked about, all those situations, we still did our show. Mm-hmm. We did a bang up job too. So it takes a lot to pull us off stage. Mm-hmm. A lot. But even Rhythm Theories had to deal with stuff like this. You remember the blueberry farm where they had that stage for us, mm-hmm. and we're so excited because there was a stage, but then we get there and it's made of logs, mm-hmm. and I'm like, we can't.
Bumpy. It's just
we can't dance on that. Even though the logs were sort of flattened
mm-hmm.
on the very top,
mm-hmm.
it still had curve to it, and we're just like, we can't tap on that. We're gonna break our ankles. So we had to put our floors on the grass and perform in front of the stage, mm-hmm. and it wasn't bad. It was just not the ideal situation. Mm-hmm.
Or we've gotten to shows ready to perform, and then they're like, oh yeah, you go there and there's all the band, the drum set, the guitars and stuff. They're like, yeah, you can't move
those. You can't move any of that. Or how about we're about to perform and then the band after us is setting up mm-hmm. their stuff while we're performing on that stage. Somebody said, oh yeah, just set up right behind them. So you're hearing clunk, clunk, clunk where somebody's bringing a drum set on stage, mm-hmm. and we're sitting here all right,
and they're
guys.
not quiet, so they're just making noise while you guys are, and it's oh.
Also, I was tapping. I'm sorry if the microphone picked it up weird. I didn't mean to actually do a time step, but here I am.
Sometimes you just got a time
step. So overall, these are just some crazy stuff that's happened. We've been a company for 10 years, so these things were bound to happen, but more frequently at non-traditional venues do these things happen. Mm-hmm. And geek culture conventions are non-traditional venues, so we're just kind of anomalous to them, so they don't really know exactly how to handle us, which is why I try to be very specific on our rider, but sometimes wires get crossed, or taped to the table.
Or taken.
Or taken. And the message doesn't quite go through the way it needs to. But again, I am never angry at them. Even if it's their fault, I'm never angry. I never really complain. I just try to make sure it gets fixed for next time. But we got 5 minutes till our show. What am I going to do? Yell at somebody instead of getting ready and finding a solution? No, I'm going to find a solution that'll work. We're going to do our show. And then I will talk to somebody about it not happening next time. That's all. That's all you can do.
Up to 5 minutes before, we're trying to figure it out. We're stressing. We're trying to get everything going. And then 5 minutes after the show, we're making sure we have everything. But throughout that entire time, we're professionals. We're performing, we're in character, we're having fun.
Yeah.
That audience will never know.
The audience doesn't deserve to have any less than your best, even if you can't give them your best. You have to give them the best you can. The audience came there to see a show. It doesn't matter if, the stage is literally on fire behind you. It's ambiance at this point. Okay, but on the real, if the stage is on fire, please evacuate.
That goes back to the safety part.
Yeah, also, not to even add one more thing, but not even related, but the craziest thing happened yesterday. We just finished our show where there was no wire, there was no stage, all that stuff, okay? I go to this dance competition because at the same time, on the same weekend, my studio was competing. So I had dancers that I had to go be with, and I did my show and then I rushed back to get to theirs so that I could see their dance. We actually got evacuated because there was a fire in the building. So I get back just in time to see their dance, and then all of a sudden, beep, beep, everyone evacuate, there's a fire. And I'm like, how many times can today go wrong? But, the competition was fine. Nobody got hurt. It was a small fire. They fixed it in 10 minutes. It was fine. But I just thought that was funny. But the audience deserves a good show. And the people that tried to put on your show, the booking agent, the venue, the convention, they meant well. They don't need to be scolded. They don't need to be how dare you disrespect Tap. They didn't mean to disrespect our show. They just made a mistake, or they didn't realize, because I know we're different. We're not the usual thing. So instead of getting angry, I kind of just go, okay, we made it work. It was fine. Thank you so much for everything. Next time, let's try to make sure we have this, or tell us what we need to do to make sure that this doesn't happen again. And then after yesterday, I was make sure we always have a 2-to-1 cable, no matter what. I don't care if it was there yesterday, because you live and you learn. So overall, I just wanted to do this video to kind of just share some funny stories with you, but also to just give you a glimpse into the life of a touring, tap dancing, improv acting performer.
You never know what you're going to get.
You have no idea what's going to happen at any moment in time.
What about the stage that was just long? There was
the
audience,
runway?
Yeah, there was a runway, and their audience was sitting on both sides of it, and that was the stage. It was just this long runway.
Oh, yeah, we had to restage literally everything. All of our dances are built on a horizontal stage, or at least a wide stage. Oh, no, everything had to be done runway style. So everything was basically just 2 straight lines. It was so bad. But it was one of the best shows we did. It was so fun.
The audience had a blast because we let them in on it. Hey, just to let you know, normally we're here, now we're here.
And then they got to be all up on the runway and see the show from a different angle. So there's always an upside to everything. Speaking of upside, we did forget one.
What?
How about the stage that was at a 30-degree angle? We forgot that one. So we were performing at a convention. It was outside. It was outdoors. And you know what happens when you're outdoors? The ground isn't always level.
The earth
happens. So the ground was like this, and our stage was on it. And so the stage was at a 30-degree angle, and we still had to do the show. So he didn't dance the show, and neither did another dancer of ours, Henry, because they're the strongest guys in the company. They stood behind the stage like this, just in case people fell. They're like, we got you.
Ready to catch it.
They spent the whole show standing back there, just in case we fell. Because the stage was angled this way. So if you're the audience, it's angled this way. So we're hello. It was really, really funny. And again, there's nothing that they could have done about that. They put the stage exactly where it needed to be. There was nowhere else the stage could go at this particular site. They learned for future years. We never had to deal with it after that. We told the guy, he was oh, I'm so sorry that happened. I was you know what? It's fine. We made it work. And he was happy that we weren't angry.
Mm-hmm.
What are we going to do?
Mm-hmm.
The earth was shaped away. Like, there's
and
nothing
honestly,
you can
though,
do.
they did put it at probably one of the flattest points out there.
They did the best they could.
Yeah.
It just was a thing.
I forgot about that one.
Yeah. So yeah, all kinds of crazy stuff happens. You just have to learn to roll with it. You just have to be gracious about it, I think, is the biggest tip I can give anybody. Be gracious about it. No one means to disrespect by not giving you what you need for your show. Sometimes they just don't get it, or sometimes they forget, or sometimes somebody else walked away with the wire. It's not the convention's fault that somebody walked away with that wire. One of the panelists accidentally walked away with the wire. It just wasn't there. That would have been good to know.
Well, at least you knew 5 minutes before.
5 minutes
luckily,
before,
the DJ
was
had one.
great. He's saved the show, so
He was
I don't
like-
think he's watching this, but if you are, thank you.
He was like, "How long do you guys need it?" I was like, "Our show's about 50
hour.
minutes, so about an hour." And he was like, "All right, I'll be right back."
Yep.
So
was
he went
great.
and got food and come back.
Did he get the wire back? 'Cause
Yeah,
I had
Alex
to leave.
made sure he
Okay,
gave it to
cool.
me.
Because I was like, I had to leave because I had to run to the fire.
Alex and I were like, "We will make sure that this man gets
Yeah.
this."
But thanks for joining us today for this reminiscing session. If you're not already following Noise Complaint, our social media is full of fun stories like this and clips from our show. So make sure you follow us at Noise Complaint Live pretty much everywhere. So Instagram is Noise Complaint Live and Facebook is Noise Complaint Live. And I'll have that all in the description down below. So make sure you click on all that and follow them. Also follow Rhythm Theory because our social media has got a lot of tap dance on it. Really, really cool dances. So make sure you check that out. Our most recent video is up, which is really cool. So Rhythm Theory tap pretty much everywhere. But I will put all that down. And yeah, Is that it?
I think so.
We're really tired, so like I'm not sure if I can do a vlog very well today, but hey, let's have some fun.
We haven't even been home 24 hours.
No, we have not been home 24 hours since the convention, and it was a 9-day tour between Richmond, Virginia and Orlando, Florida. We had 3 days off to wash our costumes, pack, and go.
And work still.
And work, yeah. So it's been a crazy week, and I'm glad that we could finish it out by telling these fun stories to you guys. So if you have any more questions, or if you want to know more stories, or if you want me to do different kinds of like, tell us about this, or like Q&As, give me Q's. I have A's.
Ooh, leave comments below about your interesting stage stories.
Yeah, please tell me if anything crazy ever happened to you at a competition, or a recital, or a show. Was the building on fire? Like, I'm sure that that's happened to somebody else.
What about
What?
the person who spilled water or the drink?
Oh! Okay, bonus. You guys get a bonus one. Okay, so it was at a convention, obviously. We were performing in a variety show, and there was 2 voice actors and a comedian that were doing, like, they were hosting the show, but it was a late night variety show, so they were drinking as they were hosting the show, okay? And I guess one of them had had a little too much to drink, and he accidentally spilled his vodka and ice all over the stage. But he was too gone to really, like, think about getting, like, a mop or something and quickly, or, like, a towel and quickly drying off the stage right before we went on. He decided to, like, try to scoot across it and use his clothes to, like, yeah. That did not work. It just spread it around worse. So there is actual liquid and ice cubes all over the stage. And me and Andrea and Alex all looked at each other and were like, we might unalive today. We just might. But we got to do the dance. So we got on stage and we danced on spilled vodka and ice.
They did everything
and
they could
we
to
were
be around
fine.
it.
No one slipped. I am so impressed with us. To this day, that is probably the most dangerous show we've ever done. They apologized after. Of course, they didn't really realize what was going on. And then after they're like, oh my God, I saw the ice cubes. Are you guys okay? And we're like, we lived. It's fine. We're alive. And they're like, we're so sorry. We're like, dude, it was an accident. You know, you didn't mean to. And it kind of made it funny.
It's funny, though, to think about, like, oh, yeah, I'm going to use jean material to try to
I
clean
know,
something.
right?
That's not happening.
I think it was suit pants, actually, which is even
Oh,
worse.
yeah.
That's even worse.
No.
But yes, So you got bonus ones, and I hope you guys had a lot of fun with this. Again, send me questions. I'll give you answers. Give me cool vlog topics. I'll do it. Sometimes I'll have Sean with me. Sometimes I won't, but I really prefer to vlog with him because I think he's kind of cool.
That's me. I'm kind of cool. No.
So yeah, thanks for joining us today. If you're not already subscribed to this channel, make sure you hit that subscribe button and join the Tap fam. We have vlogs like this, but mostly this channel specializes in tap tutorials, and this is all free tap class, and it's all for you. So make sure you subscribe, and also hit that thumbs up button. That thumbs up button is everything because it tells YouTube that people like tap dance, and we want YouTube to know that so that it pushes out more tap dance. And that if when you thumbs up a tap dance video, it's going to give you more tap dance, which is really, really cool. So the algorithm goes, this person likes tap dance, let's give you more. Why? And there's not just me doing free tutorials. There's tons of people. So when you hit a thumbs up on my video, you might find other people's free tap tutorials. I know I take them all the time from like United Taps. I love United Taps. So yeah, subscribe, thumbs up, and as always, thank you for hanging out with me.